How goes it, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Emmett, and I urge you again to please do your own research. I am just a talking head on the internet, and I'm looking at this from a 30,000-foot view, so some of my information could be wrong, and by all means, if it's wrong, this is why I say do your own research. But with all that being said, we're going to hop on to what happened with last week's video. Speaking of Voi, that is, in my personal opinion, soon to take over localizers' jobs because, quite frankly, we have the one localizer that did such a bad job that it's making waves on the internet and everybody else is finding out about it. I feel bad for the ones that were doing their job, but these individuals who pose as localizers and might be activists or just self-centered, egotistical morons, good job for ruining the whole art. But moving on past that, AI is here to stay. Everybody should be cognizant of that. And one of the most recent pushes for AI that I'm seeing is coming from Aftra. Does anybody remember when they had their whole little debacle, their whole little pause, their standstill, when I think it was last year for about 3 to 4 to 5, 6 months? I honestly could not really care too much to look it up. To me, it was just a bunch of actors that were on strike. It's like, okay, fine, y'all haven't really put anything good out in a minute, so it doesn't really affect me. But apparently one of the things that they were striking for was to stop AI from coming into their workspace and taking up their jobs. Essentially what automation was like years ago, probably before you and I were both born. But what automation was years ago that put a lot of people out of business, and then we had this whole shakeup on what we're going to do. Well, the same thing is essentially happening, but it's coming after the voice actors' jobs, and this is being spearheaded by SAG-AFTRA, the same union that represents a lot of these voice actors who were complaining that AI shouldn't be in the space because then they would lose their jobs. So now the question is, what kind of legal practices? No, but what legalities are now enthralled into this? Because I don't think that a lot of the members actually saw the big deal on the table, and I personally think that's a shame. But from what I'm looking at, apparently nobody had any idea this was coming. Nobody had any idea that this was a thing that was being pushed or approved, quote unquote, by people in the background, because I'm seeing most of these actors and background sound designers and recording people, I don't know what to properly call them, so I apologize. They're asking the union directly who approved this, who did this, and at this point I'm just going to say, well, if they're not telling you who did it, 9 times out of 10 it's probably on the person who's in charge, Fran Drescher. And I'm going to say this right now, since the start of the SAG-AFTRA riots and some of the crap that she's tried to pull, including kicking down the first deal, I think that woman is a freaking idiot. I'll say it with 10 toes on the line. I personally think she's a freaking idiot. But I don't know what legalities would come into this, because supposedly, specifically, they said no AI, and then the union turns around and starts selling AI anyway. And what's got me a little sketched out about some of this is that while the union says, hey, there will be no AI, and then introduce AI, how exactly are you going to use this AI? Who's getting the royalties? Well, first and foremost, I know who's getting the first big cut of royalties. It's going to be SAG-AFTRA, because they want their dues. In all honesty, I personally don't have anything against unions, so long as they're pro-worker, they know how to fight for what you're worth, and, you know, just give it a good negotiation, give and take, because you have your personal life, and the business is not entitled to all that time. That's conversation for another day. Where exactly does the lion's share goes? And I can tell you most of it's going to go back into SAG-AFTRA. Why? Because it's a business and it needs to survive. That's pretty much the bottom line of it. I wouldn't be so sketched out if it was the reverse, where if SAG-AFTRA took this money, or rather, if the family of the voice actor got a say in what was going on, and they also got the lion's share of the lion's share of the money that would be bankrolled into that, or the lion's share of royalties that would be rolled into that. There are some families out there, I understand, are bastards, so they're going to, of course, try to license it out for everything, but at the end of the day, that's their family. Blood is thicker than water, and I know there's more to that phrase, but that's neither here nor there. I don't know where this is going to go. I know there's going to be a lot of voice actors in the future, unfortunately, that are going to be out of business, and for me, as somebody who's trying to take up more artistic stuff, there's going to be a lot of me out of business, because you can get the work cheaper, simpler, and faster without having to put up with any lip or bad time constraints. You just need to find somebody who's going to do the touch-up work. It is what it is, but I'm still going to do what I like, and I still like doing art, so that's just what I'm going to be doing for a minute. That being said, though, y'all stay safe. Have a good one. I'm out.